Hi grade 9s, it's Miss Fungarage here, and we're going to do lesson 2 for assignment 4, and we are going to look at mathematical models. Now that seems really confusing, but all mathematical models means is that we can look at a relationship as an equation, as a graph, or as a table of values. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at lesson 2 mathematical models from this week's assignment. I'm going to do question number 1 and question number 2 with you, and then you're going to try question number 3 at home on your own for your homework. So, an important reminder, please make sure to go get yourself a paper, a pencil, a calculator, so that you can do some work with me while we're doing this video, because you just watching is not going to let you learn as much as if you're actually doing the math with me. So get a pencil and a piece of paper, calculator right now. Okay, so question number 1 says, Big Pine Outfitters charges a base fee of $40 and $10 every hour. So just want to let you know that base fee means initial value. That means it has an initial value of 40, it starts at 40, and then it goes up $10 every time. So we want to come up with an algebraic model. And remember, algebraic model just means we want to know the equation for this relationship. So the cost is equal to $40 plus $10 every hour or every time. So that would be the algebraic model. So we can represent that one sentence with an equation. We can also represent that sentence with a graph. And here would be the graph. And what's interesting is that if you look at that graph starts at 40. Just like it says in the sentence, it should start at 40. Just like in the equation, the initial value is 40. The graph, the equation, the sentence are all matching. They go together. And that's what should be true with the different models. They should all match each other. And the last model is the numerical model. And numerical model is just a fancy way of saying a table of values. Now this table of values is kind of messy. We know we like our table of values to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This one doesn't. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a nice table of values. And then we're going to use our nice table of values to complete this not so nice table. Okay, so here's our algebraic model, our equation. We want to make a numerical model, which means a table of values. We know it starts at 40 and we know the rate of change is 10. We know the rate of change is 10 because that's the part that's next to the letter. So it's jumping by 10 each time. So 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. That's our beautiful table of values. And what we're going to do is we're going to put their table of values next to ours to help us find the right answer. Okay, so I have the two tables of values next to each other. I know that, my screen is moving. I know that at the beginning it should be 40. At the beginning the cost should be 40. And I want to know, when is the cost 70? Okay, the cost is 70 after 3 hours when the time is 3. So over here I can put a 3. Now, the problem is 230. I cannot find 230 on here, and I'd have to make a really long table of values. Sometimes using a numerical model or a table of values is great. Sometimes it doesn't make very much sense because your table of values would need to be so long. So what we want to do is we want to go back to the algebraic model, and we want to use the equation. So let's do that now. Let's write the equation. C is equal to 40 plus 10t. And what we want is we want to figure out when we have 230 for our C. We want our 230 to be our C. So we're going to cross off the C and we're going to put a 230 there. Okay? And now we can do algebra. Assignment number 3 that we did 2 weeks ago was all about algebra and solving equations. So what we want is we want to get this t all by itself. I had a t, I multiplied by 10, and I added 40, and I got 230. So I want to undo those things. So I want to subtract 40. So that means I have 190 is equal to 10t. I want, here I have t times 10. I want to undo the times 10, so I'm going to divide by 10. And that means that my t is equal to 19. my t is going to be 19 when the cost is 230. So that means if I have 19 hours, the cost is going to be 230. And that's how you can do this question using the numeric model, which is the table of values, but also using the algebraic model and doing algebra, solving the equation. Let's look at question number 2. It says a rental car cost $50 plus 20 cents for each kilometer. So it starts at $50 and then you need to add 20 cents for every kilometer that you drive. So let's look at the algebraic model. Let's figure out what the equation would be. To find the cost, we need to start at 50 and then we need to add 0.2, which is the same thing as 20 cents, 0.2 every kilometer you drive. So that would be the algebraic model or the equation. We see that the initial value is 50 and the rate of change is 0.2. It keeps going up 0.2. Now we want to look at the graphical model. So the graphical model, I'm making a graph. I've got this beautiful straight line. It's always jumping the same, so it should be a linear, it should be a straight line, and it needs to start at 50. The equation started at 50. The sentence said it started at 50, so our line also needs to start at 50. Now we want to make a table of values. And just like last time, the table of values that's in the assignment is a bit funny. So we're gonna look at it, but we want to make a nicer table of values first. And we're gonna use that then to answer our questions. Okay, so let's do that right now. Okay, so here is my algebraic model, my equation, and I want to make a numeric model. I want to make a table of values. We know that our nice table of values that we have learned how to do in grade 9 always jumps like this. Starts at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so on. We know that ours, the initial value is 50, starts at 50, and since the 0.2 is the number that's next to the variable or the letter, we know it's jumping by 0.2. So 50.2, 50.4, 50.6, 50.8, 51, 51.2, and so on and so on and so on. So that's a good table of values, but it's not really going to help us answer or fill in the blanks in the table of values we've been given. Okay, so here is our table of values, and this is their table of values. They want our table of values to go up to 250. That would be really difficult. It would take a long time. They also want our cost to go up to 300. That would also take us a long time, which suggests that maybe for this question, we don't want to use the numeric model, but we actually want to use the algebraic model, which means we want to use the equation. So let's write the equation down over here. 50 plus 0.2d. First of all, I know that one of the d's is equal to 250. So what I want to do over here is I want to cross off this d and I want to add 250 there because I want the d to be 250. So I put my 250 here. And that means that with my calculator, I need to do this. When they're right next to each other, it means I'm multiplying. Now, there's a small problem, and the small problem is sometimes people add these two together, press equals, and then multiply. You don't want to do that. Remember BEDMAS that you learned maybe with Ms. Fazakosh? You want to multiply and then add. Most calculators will do that for you, but you need to make sure that you're using BEDMAS. So 0.2 times 250, I believe, is going to give me $50. Is that right? I think that's $50. Those of you who are watching from home, maybe you can let me know if I made a mistake. I think 0.2 times 250 is going to give me $50. So that means that I have 50 plus 50. That means my cost would be equal to 100. So that means that when I drive 250 kilometers, the cost is going to be 100. Now, let's do the next one. The next time you want the D to be 1,000. We want my D to be 1,000. So I'm gonna do the same thing again. 50 plus 0.2 D. Instead of having D, I want my D to be 1,000. So if I have 0.2 times 1,000 plus 50, that's gonna give me 50 plus 200, which is gonna give me 250. My cost should be 250 when I drive 1,000 kilometers. Okay, we're only missing one more part. Now this time, the 300 is not a D. The 300 is a C. So you need to make sure you put it in the right spot in the algebraic model or the equation. So let's try that. Let's write the equation one more time. You always need to use the equation you were given at the beginning. Okay, I know that the C should be 300. So I'm gonna go up here, cross off my C and write down 300. 300 is equal to 50 plus 0.2 D. I need to use algebra. I need to get the D by itself. So I want to move this 50, move this 50. So I need to do the same thing on both sides. Minus 50 gives me 250. It's equal to 0.2 D. Okay. I want to find the D. D is the number of kilometers I've driven. So I need to divide by 0.2. Divide by 0.2, so my D is going to be equal to 250 divided by 0.2. Can you get your calculator out and try that? So I've used my calculator, and when I do 250 divided by 0.2, I get that the D is equal to 1,250. So I can go back to my numeric model, and I know that if the cost is 300, that means I've driven or drove my car 1,250 kilometers. So we have done a lot of great work today. We answered our questions for the second question, not by making a table, but by instead using the algebraic model, by using the equation. And the trickiest part is figuring out, where do these numbers go? Do they go where the D is, or do they go where the C is? And if you're careful and you think about it and you do that part correctly, you should have no problems. Okay, and now it's time for your homework. So I want you to make sure you understand question number 1 and question number 2. If you need to, you can rewatch the video to make sure you understand the difference between the algebraic model, the graphical model, and the numeric model. And then I want you to try question number 3. And the equation for question number 3 is y equals negative 3x plus 5. Notice that the negative 3 is next to the x. So that part is the rate of change. It means it's dropping 3 every time. The 5 is by itself, so that's the initial value. It starts at 5 and it drops 3 each time. So they've already made the graph for you. What you need to do is you need to complete the table of values. And you might need to use algebra to do that. Remember that if you need help, I'll be on Google Meet today between 1:30 and 3. I would love to meet up with you and help you with any questions you might have. Also, if you don't mind, please leave me a comment in YouTube. I love to know that you've watched my video, and you leaving a comment is my way of knowing that you started it and you actually got to the end. So please do that. It really does brighten my day. I hope you have a beautiful day in the sunshine, and I will see you tomorrow with our next video.